were unfortunately murdered when two gunmen opened fire at an event to mark the first day of Hanukkah. Prime Minister Albanese told reporters in Canberra that the new laws will target those who spread hate, division and radicalization. The Home Affairs Minister will also be given new powers to cancel or refuse visas for those who spread hate, and a new task force will be set up to ensure the education system prevent, tackles and properly responds to anti-Semitism. The new laws will also include penalties for preachers and leaders who promote violence, a new federal offense of aggravated hate speech, and the introduction of hate as an aggravating factor in sentencing crimes for online threats and harassment. Back home in Nigeria, a Boko Haram victim, Faina Akilos, has narrated her harrowing experience in the camp of the dreaded insurgents and how she finally escaped after several failed attempts. Faina, who spent 4 years in captivity, disclosed how Boko Haram fighters tried to force her and other Christians to convert to Islam and enslaved those who refused. Faina said the insurgents also preached to them, urging them to adopt the religion. She added that fighters would then send captives to work in the homes of their commanders as slaves. Faina recalled her first escape attempt with another captive. The pair were captured and beaten mercilessly on the journey back to the camp. Now let's take a listen to Faina Akilaos actually narrating her 4-year experience in the den of the dreaded insurgents.
That very day we met, he just snapped us and asked our names, where we are from. We now told him, that's okay.
You heard the voice of the presenter because this was from a monitored television program.
So after 3 days, he now came back and said, okay, now we have to plead for the federal government for our release so that they will support us and give it. When we tell them of our own background, they said, then they said, that I know your family will not pay the kind of money we want except the government. And I say yes. And I said, we now make the video. We did that video. We were even expecting them to tell us, okay, government has accepted us to use that. No, we waited for how many months? Up to 7 months, nothing.
They didn't send it to government eventually?
They didn't send it. I don't think they sent it. Because if they sent it when I came out, people will say it now. Nobody said about it. Nobody says anything. We were like, okay. Because even when the place was silent, they are not even telling us anything. They will just keep us. We were just inside one of their room like that, their cage. I will just call it like cage. So we're just inside. They will just come and preach as usual. People should Islamize. Your own religion is not the real religion. That is how, at that spot, there, we reach up to 11, is it 11 or 12? Because
they wanted you to convert to
Islam.
To Islam?
Yes.
And you said no?
No. I said no, will not convert. I said, in their own law, if you did not convert to Islam,
they taught you to slave.
You become their slave.
So you became a slave. So what did being a slave entail in the camp? What did it mean for you to be their slave?
Because one, I'm a Christian, and they just want us to, if we don't want to be this slave, we become a Muslim. So if we don't want that, we'll become our Christian, but we'll be their slave to do some house chores, other things for them at home.
You were carrying wood, fetching water, and all that.
Yeah, definitely.
What gave you the strength of character, determination to say no? Because it wasn't only once they wanted you to convert to Muslim, but you kept on resisting.
No, it's not only once. They normally came to our place and they said it's preach. They'll preach for us. They are preaching for us to become a better people in life. And others, if we become their religion, life will be better for us.
For 9 months, you refused?
Yes, for 9 months. When we were in that place for 9 months, before they started separating us. So we now said, since they say we will not Islamize, then they will separate each and every one of us to go to their Oga houses then, to become their slaves then.
And then you tried to escape the first time?
Yeah, even the way we arrived, yes. When we arrived, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday. On Saturday night, around 7 o'clock, me and Auntie Jumai tried to escape.
You met Jumai there in the camp?
Yeah, in that spot that they captured.
Okay.
We were together with her. So we escaped that very day. That was on Saturday. Throughout the night, around 7 p.m., we walked throughout the night in morning. We now had a baby cry. We never knew that they have a family, neither children with them there. So we now had a baby voice. We thought it's all those Fulani men, and maybe it's them that they used to raid their cow closer. We just did salam alaikum and enter inside. When we enter inside, the people now came out and saw. They started shouting because their way of dressing with ours is different. So they started shouting, "Who are those people?" The husband and goes and carry is gone. Hey, when we saw him, we say, actually it was them again. That is now they now kept us.
And this time around, they chained you.
And they did not chain us this time. This first one, but they beat the hell out of us. where we even trek and went to, it was very far place. From that side, where we are coming back to that camp that we tried to escape, it's beating throughout. We are
Were
right
you
that
doing
place.
this in the night, trekking in the night? Or
Yes, it was in the night. It was in the night.
through the bush?
Yes, through bush and water. It was in the night.
Oh, that's quite interesting. Then, I mean, we have a short time.
You're still listening to the World News at 12 right here on Voice of the People 90.3 FM. In a recent development, Burkina Faso authorities have released 11 Nigerian soldiers and a Nigerian Air Force aircraft 10 days after they were detained following an emergency landing in the Sahel country. The spokesperson for the Ministry of Foreign Affairs, Kimiebi Ebienfa, confirmed the development to journalists on Wednesday night. However, it remained unclear when the soldiers and the aircraft would return to Nigeria, as their travel arrangements could not be immediately verified. The military personnel had been detained by Burkina Faso's authorities after their Nigerian Air Force C-130 aircraft made an unscheduled landing in Bobo Dioulasso on December 8 following a technical issue shortly after departing Lagos en route to Portugal. Burkina Faso authorities initially held onto the aircraft and its crew over alleged airspace violations, describing the incident as a breach of sovereignty. Investigations by the Confederation of Sahel State and Burkinabe officials reportedly concluded that the aircraft lacked prior authorization to enter Burkinabe airspace. But following days of diplomatic engagement, President Bola Tinubu dispatched a special envoy to Ouagadougou to engage with Burkinabe authorities. Meanwhile, an angry crowd on Tuesday descended on a federal lawmaker in Dansadao town, Zamfara state, beating him and dragging him. He was seen being slapped. He was being dragged on the ground over what residents described as his poor performance since assuming office. In a video seen by VOP News, the lawmaker, said to be a member of the House of Representatives from Zamfara state, was seen being slapped and manhandled by a mob, while some security operatives struggled to shield him from further attacks. The visibly enraged crowd could be heard shouting Bamayi in Hausa, a term often used to express rejection or anger, as the lawmaker was pulled in different directions before security personnel eventually overpowered the attackers and forced him into a waiting vehicle. Eyewitnesses' voices captured in the footages suggested that the unrest was triggered by deep public frustration over what constituents described as unmet expectations and a lack of tangible projects in the area since the lawmaker's election. Residents accused the lawmaker of abandoning the community after winning the election, alleging that repeated appeals for development, empowerment programs, and constituency presence were ignored. Security operatives eventually rescued the lawmaker and escorted him away from the scene. As of the time of this report, neither the identity of the lawmaker nor an official statement from the police or the House of Representatives had been made public regarding the incident. In the meantime, Senator Ireti Kingibe, who represents the Federal Capital Territory FCT, has formally defected to the African Democratic Congress ADC. Her official registration is scheduled for today at the ADC national headquarters in Wuse, Abuja. The development was confirmed in a statement released on Wednesday by her media aide Kennedy Mbele, who said the move marked her exit from the Labour Party and her entry into the ADC. The statement noted that the registration ceremony will be attended by senior party officials, ADC candidates contesting the February 21 FCT area council elections, party supporters, and members of the media. You're currently listening to the World News at 12 right here on Voice of the People 90.3 FM. We'll take a short break now and return with the news analysis segment, where I'll be joined by legal luminary Barrister Asim Adams for his own perspectives on the issues in the news this afternoon. To stay tuned. You're still watching the World News at 12 right here on Voice of the People 90.3 FM. While we try to connect with Barrister Asim Adams, let's look at more stories right here on the World News at 12. A tragic incident has unfolded in Ebonyi State where the Assistant Commissioner of Police ACP Ogboinu Taiwo Popola has reportedly died while in service. Sources told Agazola Makama that the incident occurred at about 10:30 a.m. on Tuesday during a management meeting at the Commissioner of Police's office in Abakaliki. The sources revealed that the ACP, who was the Assistant Commissioner of Police in charge of the State Intelligence Department, suddenly developed breathing difficulty and began gasping for breath during the meeting. He was immediately rushed to the Police Medical Center at the police headquarters in Abakaliki, where he was promptly attended to by the command medical personnel. Despite efforts to resuscitate him, the officer was confirmed dead by medical doctors. I'm now being joined by Barrister Asim Adams for the analysis on the World News at 12 this afternoon. How are you doing today, Barrister? Good afternoon to you.
Yeah, good afternoon to you. Good afternoon.
Thank you. Great to have you here. Barrister Asim Adams, can you hear me properly?
Yes, I can hear you.
All right, great. Let's get right into it. We have quite a number of issues to look at today, but prominent among this is the fact that many Nigerians seem to be getting handsy with their representatives, especially when they feel like these people are not representing them well. I don't know if you've seen the video of that incident that happened in Zamfara State where a lawmaker was being dragged. They were throwing sand at him. He was literally being baited with sand. They were beating him up. They were manhandling him. They overpowered the security operatives who were later able to get him into a waiting vehicle and they took him away. Would you say we're slowly getting to that point where Nigerians will no longer sit by and allow the wrong kind of representation?
Well, I think I do not support violence of any form or any kind. That is why the Constitution of the Federal Republic of Nigeria made it, clear in Section 69 that if you want to recall, if your rep is not doing well, is not representing you well, you have a medium to recall that particular person. You have a medium, a civil way for you to recall the senator, for you to recall the House of Reps member, for you to recall even the House of Assembly member in Section 69. Yes. Now, if you look at that particular section, it gives you what you have to meet to recall. And that recall has nothing to do with violence. Because I saw that viral video where they were manhandling the man who was representing them, I condemn that. That is not the kind of a recall where it's been envisaged by the Constitution. You see, recourse to self-help, we will never accept it. So all civil means should be deployed instead of resort to self-help and violence. So I believe somehow one day we'll get there where we will use the recall method as envisaged by the Constitution for us to recall non-performing representatives rather than beating them up. I think we are getting there. Yes.
Are we really though? Some of these people who are involved in acts like this, one could actually see that there is a problem with illiteracy in such regions and such communities, and that's why the people do this, because that is what they know how to do. Also, when it comes to like voting for their reps, we've seen just yesterday the Speaker of the Akwa Ibom State House of Assembly was saying that he has the ticket for all the APC lawmakers in his pocket, and only the person he gives the ticket can get there. So many Nigerians have been complaining about sometimes the people that get into elective positions are not who the people want, but whom the godfathers and godmothers are able to put in such positions. Would you say this is one of the reasons why people may resort to violence in situations like this, when they feel they're not being well represented?
Yes, you see, in 1979, when Obafemi Awolowo lost the election to Shehu Shagari of the NPN, in a press conference, Obafemi Awolowo, while he said he was going to challenge the victory of Shehu Shagari, he said that the most popular candidates in Nigeria do not win elections. That was as far back as 1979. He said the most popular candidates in Nigeria do not win election. Invariably, what he's saying is that the people's candidates do not win election. So if you look at, with due respect to people in the National Assembly, about 90% of those who are there are not the people's representatives. Some of them, or that 90% I'm talking about, got in there by hook or by crook. Some of them manipulated their ways to the National Assembly or to represent us at various levels. I don't, as enlightened or educated as I am, I don't know the House of Assembly member representing my constituency or my state. I don't know the man representing me House of Reps. I do not even know the senator representing me as I'm here. The reason is because these are not the people that ought to be the people's candidates. If you look at, during the screening of ambassadors, I think about 2 weeks ago, a particular nominee, ambassadorial nominee, was asked the name of the man who represents them in the Senate. He couldn't even mention the name of the person inside the Senate. The person represents an ambassadorial nominee, an educated man, an enlightened man to the level. He does not even know the man representing his constituency or district. So you look at the people in the National Assembly, House of Assemblies, these are chosen by godfathers. Because Nigeria's political firmament is prescriptive and transactional. That is why you see somebody can sit and say, I have the names of those who are going to be the next governor or the next governors in Nigeria in 2027. I have the list of those who are going to become the senators in Nigeria in the next election. Because they determine who become, not the people. The will of the people has been submerged in the will of the individual part of the Godfather. Those have become anathema to popular votes or voting pattern. So this is the problem we're having. So I think to an extent, even though I do not support violence, to an extent, majorly those who took part in that assault, I'm sure yes, like you said. Although ignorance of the law is not an excuse, but we may forgive them on the ground that they were angry and at the same time they did not know the law. We also forgive them because it is very annoying to see a man who is representing you in the Senate, in the legislative chambers, has electricity all over his compound, has pipe water, has security TC. For you that he is representing, you are wallowing in poverty, and grand poverty for that matter. Powerful poverty, debilitated poverty for that matter. You will not be happy as a human being. So this is the problem has come. And it's something that the man was very lucky that he was killed. And I pray it does not spread to other parts of Nigeria where they will assault, those who represent people. I don't pray that he prayed. He was lucky by the mob. But that goes to tell you how dissatisfied
That the people are. You're also saying that this, talk of imposition and candidates being imposed of the people is also a factor.
Of course.
All right. Vice Asim Adams, I want us to talk about Burkina Faso actually finally releasing the aircrafts that was seized and the detained 11 Nigerian soldiers. This aircraft was flying over the Burkina Bay airspace. That was 10 days ago. And they said the airspace was violated by Nigeria. I recall we had a conversation about that the next day. And you said that all the small countries that are daring and trying Nigeria, that they should go and sit down. Else Nigeria can invade them. Quite a number of Nigerians who were watching the news that they were not happy with what you said. But it at first, some Nigerians were also of the same opinion as you. But what we saw was the Minister of Foreign Affairs going there and more or less pleading with Burkina Faso's president to please release the aircraft. We never meant to cause problems. We were just passing by. Right? So that is what is happening now. What do you have to say about this?
Well, you see, the point is I stand by my ground, because the president of Burkina Faso, or the head of state, had to receive a minister from Nigeria. That tells you that he still holds Nigeria in high esteem, and is still scared of Nigeria as a nation. Because the ministers of Burkina Faso would have been the ones meeting with the Minister of Foreign Affairs. So if the head of state of a nation came to receive our minister, that is kudos. That is what I've been saying. But many Nigerians think that because of the bad government we have in Nigeria, that Nigeria is a useless state. No, I don't think so. Government come, government go. Nigeria as a nation remain. One day we will get it right. And very soon I believe that Nigeria as a nation will get it right. Tinubu will go. The right president or the right Nigerian president will go. That does not remove the fact that Nigeria is a great nation. You can see the visual that it was the president or the head of state that received our delegation. How would it have been if it was the Minister of Foreign Affairs, Burkina Faso, that received the Minister of Nigeria? That ought to be on level international ground.
Oh, you're saying the Burkina Faso's president coming to receive the Nigerian delegation is a mark of respect?
It's a mark of which means he still takes Nigeria. He knows that Nigeria is a country that he cannot defy, that he cannot just treat it ignominy and impunity. Two, a lot of people have the right or whatever they want to say. Their assertion is based on the fact that they hate the government of Tinubu. I never voted for Tinubu. But that does not mean I will denigrate my country. I hold my head high anywhere I go to outside of the country. When I stand, I say I'm a Nigerian. I don't look at Tinubu government to define myself as a Nigerian. I see myself as a Nigerian, a full-blooded Nigerian, and I can stand toe-to-toe with an American. I can stand toe-to-toe with an Italian. I can stand toe-to-toe with an Englishman. So because the country is being run by a decrepit, colorless, regime does not mean I will bring myself down before anybody in the world. So these are the things I say too. Diplomacy is what was used then when they were not big. America did that to Iran. Israel did that to Palestine when they refused before they started bombing. If Burkina Faso had refused, in spite of the diplomacy, I believe that Nigeria would have taken measure and helped Burkina Faso. Are you aware that the president came to receive the minister? If the reverse had to be the case, these same Nigerians will be complaining that even the man did not even come out to receive minister. He even sent the personal assistant to come and receive our minister.
So are you trying to say that Nigerians complain too much?
Leading a delegation.
Nigerians complain too much. But the president of the country came to receive a minister. A minister. Not even the vice president of Nigeria. But here you are here representing your country. If Traore came out by himself to receive them in audience, do you think Chad do not have ministers? Do you think Burkina Faso do not have ministers? Do you think the Prime Minister of Burkina Faso cannot say, I am not going to receive Nigeria? I stand by my ground. So it's even more reasonable than some Nigerians. The way I see it. See, Burkina Faso can only try for some time, but they will keep relying on Nigeria. Nigeria is a nation that you cannot do without. As an African or in the sub-West African region. Forget about the bad government we are having. There is nothing that goes on in the sub-region ECOWAS that Nigeria, if Nigeria is not involved, it will not be successful. Why we have bad government or not? So it takes you the kind of respect the man has for the nation called Nigeria. He might not have respect for Tinubu as president, but he has respect for the nation called Nigeria. And he knows that if Nigeria should activate some of his powers that it possesses, it can run down Burkina Faso. Nigeria has international clout. If Nigeria wants to run down Burkina Faso in alliance with Britain, France, they can run down. So he knows the importance. He knows the powerful nation called Nigeria. He knows. He may not like the president called Tinubu. He may not like the government of the day. But Traore will always be loyal to Nigeria. By the time Tinubu leaves government, you will see that he will run to Nigeria here to begin to kowtow and genuflect for a nation like Nigeria. You also raise the issue of Niger. Is Niger economy not suffering today? Just when they said they will be searching the goods coming from Nigeria, what has happened? Prices of goods in Nigeria can't make this peak because they don't produce it there. This peak milk we buy here, I think about 30,000, it's about 10,000 naira equivalent there. Because of this, because of what the measures they took. So you don't undermine a country called Nigeria. You might undermine the presidency. You might undermine the person in the power there. But not the nation called Nigeria. That's what I'm trying to say. I am not supporting Tinubu, but I am of the opinion that Nigeria as a nation is a big nation. If Donald Trump, if Nigeria is not to be a nation that is respected, Donald Trump would have invaded Nigeria. When Trump invaded Iraq, within 24 hours after I made his statement, he invaded. But Trump, instead of is going to collaboration to find out and see how they can negotiate. Do you think he does not know the powers Nigeria possesses? Do you think he does not know that, internationally speaking, Nigeria is a behemoth in Africa? That is why he had to recant. And for about 2 months, he made the statement, he has not invaded Nigeria. But rather, diplomacy is going on. That is the respect we have for this nation called Nigeria. I speak with a British man, I look at him, I say, Mr. Man, I talk as a Nigerian, I don't care. Whether you label some Nigerians as criminals, as case may be, it is none of my business. I am a criminal, I tell you to your face. I am a proud Nigerian. I always speak Nigerian, and I say that, look, Mr. Man, you cannot run down my country, but you can run down the leadership of my country. When I gave that particular statement to a foreigner, he said, I respect your view. That is true. I said, you cannot run down my country as a nation called Nigeria and think that we are useless because we have bad government. No, please, you have to withdraw those words. And he withdrew the words. He said, yes, what I'm not saying is that the leadership said,
all right. While we're talking about the leadership, we know that one of the worst problems that has been plaguing us recently and that has made many Nigerians call out the leadership of the country is terrorism, insecurity, abductions, kidnapping across the country, whereby many Nigerians do not feel safe in their homes, in their places of worship, on their farms, or indeed when they travel to different regions in the country. Yesterday, there was an interview with a Boko Haram survivor, someone who was abducted by Boko Haram, spent 4 years in the terrorist den, and then came out after attempting to escape 5 times. She was successful on the 5th attempt. She talked about being there for 4 years. She talked about being preached to convert to Islam. And they said, if either you convert to this religion or you become a slave. She talked about being a slave there for 4 years. She talked about being beaten, being chained up, being tied up like an animal. And she talked about all the different issues that she had. In fact, as at the time she was abducted, she was coming back from her introduction where she went to see her fiancé. By the time she escaped 4 years later, that fiancé had already married someone else. Now, many Nigerians are really afraid that there is a jihadist agenda in this country. Also, when you look at the trend of terrorist attacks in different parts of the world, with the one recently happening in Australia, the Bondi Beach shooting, although that one actually targeted Jews, France has cancelled Christmas celebrations, and some Nigerians are saying when it comes to Christian religious holidays, that these attacks are increasing. Imagine spending 4 years in captivity. Would you say that Nigeria owes this person? Barrister Asim, are you there? Hello, Barrister Asim, can you hear me? All right. Hello, Barrister Asim, are you there? We've lost connection with Barrister Asim Adams, but of course we'll try to reach him one more time. We have been talking about some issues in the news, including issues of terrorism and the Boko Haram survivor who recounted her 4-year experience of being in their camp. We've also talked about Burkina Faso freeing the detained Nigerian soldiers, 11 Nigerian soldiers who were detained 10 days ago, and also freeing the aircraft. We've talked about an angry mob in Zamfara State attacking a lawmaker, bathing him with sand, saying he's representing them poorly and he's not doing what they sent him to the House of Reps to do. This is all we've been discussing on the World News at 12 this afternoon. Unfortunately, we're finding it difficult to get through to Barrister Asim Adams at this moment, but the questions still remain. How exactly are Nigerians expected to cope when the shadow of terrorism keeps looming over us? Welcome back, Barrister Asim Adams.
Yes.
So I was talking about the terrorism and the lady who spent 4 years in the Boko Haram camp as a slave because she refused to convert.
You see, let me tell you, I sympathize with the lady, I sympathize with her family, but whether compensation or whatever should be paid, I do not support that. Why? She is not the only person that has passed through that. If you say compensation should be paid, what about the families of Deborah Samuel, the lady who was beheaded in broad daylight in Sokoto, a student who was beheaded? What about Gideon Akaluka, a man who was beheaded in Kano or Kaduna because they allegedly said he took or tore the Holy Quran? What about the families of the Brigadier General that was shot in broad daylight and the camera or the video made viral? Have you thought about it that if that man were to be your brother, that man, the Brigadier General, for instance, was a father to people, was a brother to people, he was a friend to people. Gideon Akabuka was a father, a friend, and a brother. Deborah Samuel was a daughter, he was a sister to people. And numerous other ones. The particular story you have read out, the girl should count herself very lucky that she came out of those things alive. I am not saying she does not have any right to say what she has to say, but we have to look at situations where we say we thank God. There are those who went in there and nothing happened. I have seen also a picture of a girl who is part of the Chibok arrangement. Is in the US today, well trained and looking Americanish. So the fate that befell her, unfortunate as it seemed, is a collective one for every Nigerian. For us to rise up against these jihadists, these insurgents, bandits and kidnappers and terrorists. It's not going to be a selective one. And the question we have raised is that how come that the government is complacent, lackadaisical, in trying to tackle this issue of security, and if not exterminate it, reduce it to the barest minimum. Nations of the world have faced issues of this nature, terrorism, etc. Like you rightly said, the Australian, terrorist act, you saw the reaction of the people. They didn't play politics with it. Government stood up, compensated with the families, and it was even an individual that challenged the terrorists and arrested the terrorists that was on that gun shooting spree. But in Nigeria here, we politicize it. We see people being murdered on a daily basis. We don't rise. We always wait for government to do everything for us. If the man in Australia had waited for government to do everything for him, he will not be bold enough to go and attack that terrorist that was on a shooting spree. That is the kind of nationalism I want Nigerians to imbibe. Because this particular war, we have found that the government cannot protect us. If the government cannot protect us, are we going to stay hopeless and helpless? Because government cannot protect us? Can't we take further steps to protect ourselves individually and especially?
You want Nigerians to protect themselves? How?
Absolutely. Let me tell you now. As I cannot travel from here to my town without holding an AK-47.
Do you own an AK-47?
I have the means to get it.
Have you gotten it?
I'm on national radio. I don't want to tell you if I've gotten it or not. I have the means. Nigerians have the means. Many Nigerians have the means to have an AK-47.
An average Nigerian has the means to get an AK-47.
I am telling you.
Legally or illegally?
Illegally or legally, any which way you want to see.
Are you advocating for illegal ownership of arms now?
The point is that Nigerians must protect themselves. The protection I'm talking about now is how you go about it. Is that if the government cannot provide security for you, I have security in my yard. Many Nigerians have people protect them in their compounds because the government cannot protect. So if you go around, if you want to take a pump action or whatever the case may be, you have the right to protect yourself.
Barrister Asim, you do know that when these terrorists come, they come in their numbers.
See, let me tell you something. I once lived in an estate where every night we went to candle sleep. These boys will come in, they will do whatever they want to do, to the extent that before they start sleeping robbing you, they will fire some shots to the air to alert the police and say you can call the police. But a day came after what I consider the rampage almost on a daily basis. A day came, the people in that community sat and said, enough is enough. All man for himself, everybody for the collective. We came out, we were doing what they call watch nights and security nights. Any weapon you have within your whatever, you bring it out to protect yourself and your family. I speak to you that within 2 weeks of this, when they came, we were able to neutralize some of them and call the police. And that was how peace came to that particular estate till today. So if you are sat there and you keep saying, oh, we have been attacked, and nothing has happened, they will keep coming again because they know that whenever they come in there to invade, there will be no resistance. The people who are invading you are scared too. Nigerians must live up and be bold and brave at times to protect themselves. Now, what am I talking about? As it is, I can pull an whatever, leave Sokoto and come to Enugu to come and displace a community. Are they up to 1,000? Are they up to 2,000? If the community there and surrounding villages, are you saying you don't have people who can resist these people? Even if they are having the most sophisticated weapons? This is a question. But when they come, you run away, you shout and say, government, police. They don't listen to you. So these are the things. The question we have also asked is this: how can bandits leave Zamfara State and come to Edo State in a space that is owned by Edo people and begin to, stay inside the forest without the indigenes of that place collaborating with them, and they are having their way? Is it possible that the whole community cannot comb their forest and drive these people out? There is collusion and
in the midst of all of this, don't you think that innocent northerners will be affected? Because we've started seeing videos of people harassing some northerners, or people who are just going about their own business, harassing them, attacking them, and saying, "Oh, what are you doing in this community? Leave! It's your people that are causing problem here and there." Don't you think that innocent people will also be affected if we go by this logic that you are proposing?
When you have that kind of situation. When you have that kind of situation happening, for those innocent ones, they will now go back to their villages and say, look, this thing is becoming so bad. Let me tell you, for instance, if you look at what is going on right now in Nigeria, all over the world, with the Nigerian green passport, you go to the airport, they check and embarrass and humiliate you. Now, a particular group came out and said, this is becoming too sad. In the US, they said, this cannot happen. You see, it's not Nigerians that are bad. So they started preaching the good side of Nigeria to the traditional community. And those immigration officers, at a point in time, they now believe their story and I say, look, not all Nigerians are truly bad. So what they now do is that instead of that harsh and humiliating circumstance they place you, they now give you time to explain yourself where they suspect you, that you have something of that nature. A similar thing is what I'm asking, these people to do. For instance, if government, have you ever sat down? I heard a story that in the northern part of Nigeria, some family members were kidnapped by some kidnappers and terrorists. Now, the victims of that kidnap, from what I heard, knew where these kidnappers are from. They knew their families. They went and kidnapped the father, the mother, the sister of the kidnapper and took that person hostage. And now said, if you kill our person, they were going to kill your mother and your father here. Why can't government, for instance, enact laws like that? There are laws that have been enacted in Edo State, for instance. If you are a landlord and your house is being used by Yahoo boys or those who sell weed or kidnappers, if they are arrested, they will come in and demolish the house.
Which still brings me back to the question of innocent people being caught in the crossfire.
See, innocent people must lose their lives, whether we like it or not. In a war situation, innocent people must lose their lives. Why we are fighting in the revolution? Because Nigeria need to revolutionize the act of securing ourselves. As a revolution is coming, some must go. Let us not think that it is only in the Bible they say 1,000 went and 1,000 returned. It's not possible in this modern day warfare.
Thank you,
and what we have today.
Thank you, Barrister Asim. Thank you, Barrister Asim. But one thing is, as much as you advocate for this, we will not stop holding the federal government accountable for the safety of the lives and properties of Nigerians, because that is one of their very first, the very first things that they are supposed to do. Even while we say that Nigerians should protect themselves, we can only be so careful. These people come with sophisticated weapons that they get from God knows where.
That is the situation. We see, security and welfare is, the Constitution says the government of the day must provide security and welfare. But the question I've asked, when the government is unable to provide security, what do you do? When the government is unable to provide security for us, what do we do? Do we just sit down and be looking at government and be crying over spilled milk? These are questions we have been asking. So I don't really know what they want us to do. I'm not a military man. I hate anything that has to do with violence. But the way and manner they are going about, lives are being lost on a daily basis. Christmas period, most of us are scared to travel home. Why do you think we don't want to go and celebrate Christmas with our kids and kids? But what the fact that you may be driving on a lonely road to your village and some hoodlums or whatever, they come out and accost you and take you hostage and be asking for monies that you know you can never get in a lifetime. So these are the things. So if the government is not able to protect us, what do I need to do? Then I sit down and not travel, or if I'm to travel, I prepare myself.
Thank you, Barrister Asim. Thank you. Our time is fast spent. We need to go, but I appreciate you for your perspective and your analysis on the world news at 12 today.
Thank you so much. God bless you.
All right, then enjoy the rest of your day. You have been speaking with Barrister Asim Adams. You have been listening to World News at 12 right here on Voice of the People 90.3 FM. Just before we wrap up, let's take a look at the top stories again. You heard that Australia has announced a crackdown on hate speech after the Bundy shooting. Boko Haram victim recounts 4-year experience in terrorist enclave. Burkina Faso frees detained Nigerian soldiers and aircraft. And an angry mob has attacked Zamfara lawmaker over alleged poor representation. And that is a wrap on the World News at 12 on Voice of the People 90.3 FM. My name is Chioma Innocent. Good afternoon to you and thank you for listening. Do stay tuned. Matters will come your way by 1:30 p.m.